An unusual, dramatic, and interesting day at the war crimes trial of Alieu Kosiah taking place in Venezuela, Switzerland. Hello and welcome to yet another coverage of Kosiah's trial. It's phase 2 of the trial, and today the 13th witness did testify. 3 other witnesses testified today. In total, 3 witnesses testified, including an ex-UNIMO commander. So 2 of them claimed that they were residents of Pasadena home in Lofa County. This is a place where the 5th and 4th witnesses who testified last week said that looting allegedly took place in that 2 people believed to be their relatives were killed allegedly on Kosiah's orders. So the team witness case was more dramatic today when he testified. The judge did ask him about whether he knew the 12th witness. He said the 12th witness was his brother. We are still reporting from the same vicinity where we normally do our live broadcast to you on this time of the night. It's in a very quiet area. It's a religious area, and the very sound you're hearing is the sound of a church that is just next door. So the 13th witness did tell the court today that he does know the 12th witness, and the both of them are brothers. The 12th witness confirmed that when he testified earlier on today, but the 13th witness told the court that the 12th witness is older than him. And the 12th witness told the court that the 13th witness is older than him. But the case today was about a communication sent to the court by the 13th witness. He did confirm to the court because the president or the presiding judge did ask him about a communication he wrote on February 19, 2020. That's just a few weeks ago when he wrote the communication, or a few days ago when he wrote the communication to the court. And in that communication, he did request for over 10,000 United States dollars to be able to come to testify. When the judge asked him, when the president asked him about that, he said yes, he wrote because he was leaving everything he was doing to come here to testify in Alieu Kosiah's trial. The judge said, but who told you about this, that you were coming to testify? Did you communicate with anybody? Did you communicate with Mohammed Kosiah, Alieu Kosiah's brother? Did you communicate with other people? He said he didn't communicate, but he heard about that. And people told him that they had seen his communication, he had seen some information on Facebook that he was going to testify. But the judge did ask him further, who gave you, or who were those who said that they saw that. He called names, but the judge didn't ask him about the amount, whether it was realistic. He said the money is realistic because he was leaving everything he was doing in Pasadena to come here in Switzerland to testify in the trial. The judge said to him, but this amount in question, who told you we normally give money to witnesses who testify? He said he just felt that it was important for him to make the request, but if the judges felt that it was wrong, he was sorry about that. The judge said, well, the money is not available, and besides, even though we do give compensation to witnesses who we call to come and testify, this amount is unrealistic. Then the plaintiff's lawyer, Adam Vendor, did bring about the fact that this client, or not client, this witness in question did lie to the court. He said the money in question is unrealistic. 1, 2. Vendor said that this money was requested by this witness so that he could use it to build houses. When the president asked the witness about this, he confirmed that yeah, he did ask for the money, but he does have houses. There are 2 houses. Vendor said the witness was intended to build houses. He said he has 2 houses, but he said it was not true that he wanted to build houses. He also said that Vendor also said that he's done his own investigation. He found out that it would take not more than $300 to be able to have somebody come and testify here, and the witness said he needs 10,000. And then the judge, at the end of everything, the president said, well, let's get an understanding. You and the 12 witnesses should go home, and you return tomorrow. We'll ask you more questions. And we need to emphasize repeatedly, before any of these witnesses take the witness stand, they are asked about whether they are testifying under duress. They are also reminded of their rights, and they are also reminded that if they do lie, they face a fine, and they face an imprisonment up to 5 years. So all of these witnesses who come to testify in these trials, are told about all of these things. So we don't know what may happen tomorrow. Maybe the questioning will go on. Maybe it could result to something else. But we thought to bring you, we thought to mention that to you as we report to you today. And then about the 12 witness, when he testified, he claimed to know the fourth and fifth witnesses. They said they don't know him, even though all of them come from the same town, Pastor Nahum. Then the judge asked him to step out. He went out for over 1 hour, 30 minutes. And then the judge asked the fourth and fifth witnesses to each name their relatives, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters. And they went through all of that. And then when he returned, the judge asked him whether he knew those two witnesses again, whether the 12 witnesses, whether he knew the fourth and fifth witnesses. He said yes. So the judge asked him whether because he said he was the uncle of these witnesses. So the judge asked him how many wives did the father of the witnesses have. He said they had three. He had three, and then the judge, because the father was a polygamist, so the judge asked him about that, and then he said the father of the witnesses had three, and then the fourth witness said, no, that's not true. My father had 4 wives, including my mother. So then that became another issue of contradiction. So let's bring in James Giahyue of New Narratives. He's the editor-in-chief of New Narratives. These are dramatic events we are witnessing, very uncharacteristic of the first 1.5 week of the trial. Now we are seeing these things happening. What are your thoughts?
You know, the trial comes to an end on March 5, so maybe we should start expecting more of these things. As the day for the judgment comes closer.
Do you think that with the conflicting statements coming from the 12 and 13 witnesses, do you think these 12 and 13 witnesses, their testimonies are something like are things that play to the liking of the defendant, Kosiah?
If they are defense witnesses, so if they are making errors, if their statements, if their testimonies are not corroborating, then of course it plays to the liking of the prosecution team.
And also the plaintiffs.
Yes, the plaintiffs. Yeah.
And I need to say that what was happening when the 12th witness was testifying, when he started to miss the relationship between him and the fourth and fifth witnesses, Kosiah punched his right hand. He's punched his palm he's punched his right hand into his palm in disappointment, and he had his hair bowed at the end, started to shake his head. That could sense that, well, these guys properly have not come to tell Augusto.
And it has been a couple of bad days for Kosiah. Yesterday we had this former Ulimo Charles Soldier who was Kosiah's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And we talked about it yesterday. His testimony was very, very, very much important to it was the most dramatic that we have seen as of yesterday, even though today is even more dramatic.
Today is more dramatic and very interesting also.
Yes, and you see that, like I said, Kosiah has not been having a very good time in the last 2 days, because his witnesses who are supposed to be helping to make his case, they are basically their narratives are not corroborating. So another thing I also saw today, I don't maybe you pay attention to it, I'm very much sure, was that the first witness we had today we had 3. Yeah. The first of the 3 witnesses we had today
was General.
Yeah. And his testimony corroborated with that of the testimony of the last witness yesterday. Yeah. And the ex-Charles Soldier who used to be the
witness who claimed to be an ex-Charles Soldier.
Yes.
We always have to be on the safe side.
Yeah. We can be safe like that, but we okay to say he was because he said it and Kosiah said it, and other witnesses who came said it. So he used to be a child soldier. He's 40 years old, but he was 12 when he was recruited. And the testimony he gave yesterday, and the one today corroborate, because the man today, the witness who heard today,
the first of the 3 witnesses today,
he said that he knew that guy was an RTO to Kosiah,
which means a child soldier.
A child soldier. So he didn't contravene what the ex-child soldier yesterday said.
I quite agree. No contradiction there in the 2 testimonies. But crucially too, this guy said, and that corroborates what Kosiah said last year, and even this year when he testified again, because Kosiah said he was a senior to this guy. This guy said, well, that's true. Kosiah was my senior.
Yeah.
But we were not always together.
Yeah.
But he said another crucial thing which Kosiah did not last year, even did not today, this week on Monday when he testified, when he was cross-examined. The witness said Kosiah was part of the capture of Foya.
Yep.
Kosiah had said all along, never.
Yeah.
Last day he said he was never involved. He was never part. Foya had been captured by UNAMO before he got to Foya. But this witness said no, Kosiah was involved. Kosiah and others were the frontline commanders. They were the key people who were looking after these people were the directors. They were our bosses. And Kosiah has always said he was never a boss. He's never been a boss. He was never a boss for UNAMO. He took instructions from his bosses. He was just a floating officer.
Yeah.
But this witness said no.
He said
was a key person.
He said no, and we should mention in this broadcast that is the number 1 defense for Kosiah in this trial.
Yes.
He's not saying that I was not with ULIMO. He admits that he's an ex-ULIMO commander. But what he says is that between 1993 and 1994, the time in which these alleged offenses that he faces now were committed, he wasn't in Lofa County. And this defense witness who used to fight alongside him comes today, tells us that no, in 1993 and 1994, Kosiah and I fought in Lofa. We fought specifically in Vonjama, we fought the RUF, and we fought the NPF, the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, the RUF, which of course is the Revolutionary United Front, and the group from Sierra Leone.
The late
Folie Sankoh. Yeah. So the guys there, they fought these groups all the way to the Sierra Leonean border at Manikoma. So this is revealing. This is something that Kosiah has not said all true. This is something that he has denied. And this guy who fought with him, and not just that battle, he said, they fought in Belefana.
Yes.
They fought in Monrovia. They were in Todi together. They went to Banga, the Great Banga Fall. Yeah. They were part of it. So this guy is saying, I spent my whole life on the front line. And I don't know whether you pick up that, but I'm sure you did because you're very smart. The man started off with when he started with his testimony, it looked so much that he was really defending Kosiah.
Yes.
And you could see from the body language of both Kosiah and Janoli, Dimitri Janoli, who is the lawyer of Kosiah. You could see from his body language that they were satisfied at that point. And that took almost all of the man's time. He testified for like 4 hours, but it was just in the last 30 minutes of those 4 hours that everything turned around.
And did you notice Kosiah's body language then? When, those last 30 minutes, he didn't seem to be calm. He was very uncomfortable, moving around and very often whispering in his lawyer's ear.
Yes, he was to and fro in his lawyer's ears, and then he was there writing stuff on paper and passing it over to him, helping him to ask the right question. So Janoli, like we're talking about Janoli now, Dimitri Janoli, the defense the defense lawyer. What he tried to do was very simple. He's basically saying, okay, this guy is not doing what we call him here to do. So what can I do? So he deployed his strategy, which he has deployed all through this trial. So what is the strategy? I'm going to discredit him.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove to the three-panel judge, the three judge panel, that this man is not credible. So what does he do? He asking for all the Yulimbo information. Who is Jackson? Who is Mami Wata? So
who is Stephen Double?
Who is Stephen Double? Who is Dukle? Who is Sachue? So he started to ask all these questions so that attempting to drill the hole in the man's argument so that the judge knows that this guy is not saying the truth. But then the guy passed all the tests. The guy knew everything. In those places where the guy didn't know, he just basically said, I don't know. And then he gave reasons why he couldn't know. And the reason was simple. You remember why the reason was? I was always on the front line.
Yeah.
But there were places.
He was on the battlefront. According to him, that was what he said.
Yeah, but there were places where he would be very, very much definitive. There were places that he would be very much emphatic. And one of the questions that Janoli asked him was, did you see Kino and Ferry at the border at Salomba, towards the Guinean border, where a lot of, four of the plaintiffs in this case have said that where the trading of goods
allegedly took place.
So Janoli wanted to ask him, hoping that this guy would say there wasn't any ferry, there wasn't any Kino, but then the guy said yes, there were Kino and there were ferries.
Another thing he did mention was that Kosha had a vehicle, Kosha had a bicycle. Kosha has always said in this trial he only had a bicycle. He said Kosha had a vehicle. He mentioned a Land Cruiser. And one of the witnesses in this trial has said on the day that Kosha allegedly shot a ball, or teenage ball, Kosha was in the front of a Land Cruiser pickup. And when his soldiers had allegedly gone to ask the ball to leave where he was, to leave his room and come out to join them, when the ball refused, Kosha got out in his camouflage and took his pistol, allegedly shot the ball dead.
Yep.
So when this witness, this ex-Unimo general, was referencing a car and he mentioned Land Cruiser, then my man ran to the testimony that was provided by the other witness who said Kosha was in the Land Cruiser pickup at the time when he got down and allegedly did the killing.
And speaking about Land Cruiser, that scene, the witness, the first of the three witnesses today, the ex-Ulimo frontline commander. And speaking about the guy, he didn't just talk about the Land Cruiser. He also talked about what Kosha most of the time wore.
Yeah.
Camouflage, and military uniform. And that corroborated with what the two or three of the plaintiffs in this case, said. So I was taking note, like you, taking note of all these things. There were a lot of corroborating statements that the witness that we are talking about now gave today. And the Kosha team, they didn't like it. After the testimony, I spoke with Dimitri Janoli, and he wasn't happy with this witness we are talking about today, the ex-Ulimo frontline commander. He was even a little happy with the ex-child soldier who used to be bodyguard to Kosha. And the reason was simple. The child soldier said that he didn't start, when he joined Ulimo, he wasn't Kosha's bodyguard. He was a bodyguard to another soldier who was killed. And after that soldier was killed, the child soldiers explained to us yesterday. Yes. After the guy was killed, before he moved over to Kosha, and then the child soldier even said Kosha sent him to school.
Yeah.
But the laws are clear of the rules of war that were set in this particular country in 1949. You cannot use child soldier in combat.
And at the time that he was alleged to have been Kosha's bodyguard, he was a teenager, he was a minor, so he was not. He had not reached age maturity then. Another thing he said, maybe that plays to Kosha's liking, maybe that's good for Kosha, was that Kosha was a good man. That corroborates with what the child soldier said, the man who claims to be a child soldier said when he testified that Kosha was a good man. And this witness said Kosha was a good man. Kosha didn't rape anybody. And the witness who said he was a child soldier said Kosha also didn't rape anybody. Kosha was a good man. Kosha never partook in any looting. This witness also said the same thing. It's important also to talk about that.
And the other witness, the first of all these defense witnesses who supposed to testify for Kosiah, and it happens that they are tested. Two of them at least have testified against Kosiah. But that witness also said that Kosiah was a good man. He was dividing or distributing money on the people. He was throwing up parties. They were playing football matches between Ulimo soldiers and civilians in Foya. So we heard some good things about Kosiah, but we heard some very incriminating things about him. Something just before you come in, something I also noticed in the last 2-3 days is that the two witnesses that we spoke on here mainly about, the ex frontline commander and the ex bodyguard, small child soldier bodyguard to Kosiah. Both of them, it seems to be that they don't know that it is a war crime to use a child soldier. That's the bodyguard yesterday doesn't know that the fact that he was a child soldier and then the person who was using him committed war crimes.
And let's say that looking at this from a critical perspective, I've spoken to General Lee myself also and asked him whether he was in the know of the selection of these witnesses for Kosiah. He said yes, but he didn't have the chance to speak, to physically interact with them. He did speak to them by phone. Kosiah did say to him he wanted these people to come to testify, and he said, once you're okay, I'm okay, because you know the people who should come and testify for you. So in terms of preparation, it seems he didn't properly prepare these witnesses, because that's on the shoulders of the lawyer to ensure that his or her witnesses are prepared. Because if they aren't prepared, then you run the risk of them coming to testify to say something different from what you expect of them. So if he's shocked, then he should also take the blame to say to himself, well, I didn't properly prepare these people, even though he never had a chance to physically meet them, but they could have been prepared to perform in the technological age, because their testimonies should be very crucial and should be able to prove that Kosiah didn't actually commit the crimes he's accused of. And going back to the child soldier, or the witness who said he was a child soldier when he testified, we've been able to do some follow-ups in researches. We found out that he's back. He's on his way back to Liberia. So that means that his request, or his defense couldn't suffice. He had said that he didn't want to be deported to Liberia. He didn't want to go back to Liberia, not deported, but go back to Liberia, because he felt that
he was not safe.
He feared they were being repressed and all of that. But here is the point. Outside the Swiss law, he could have had a sufficient ground to stand on had he made a convincing argument, because he had come to tell the court, well, if I go back to Liberia, my safety is not guaranteed. I'm going to be killed. But you have to say to what extent there will be threats. What are the threats? It's not sufficient to just say, if I go back to Liberia, I'm not safe. Are there instances where you receive text messages? Are there instances where maybe somebody called, somebody went to your house,
or you were attacked,
like one of the witnesses,
like one of the plaintiffs.
The second plaintiff's witness who testified in this trial, who said that he was attacked. He had to change his location on several occasions. There's even a formal complaint which we said we're going to investigate further before the police, that somebody tried to attack him from MPF, and then another group of people from Kosiah's group allegedly tried to attack him. So these are sufficient grounds, sufficient reasons you have to give to be able to convince the authorities, not the judge, because the judge, they're referring to the prosecutor. And let's also say that he came like the other two witnesses today, two of the three witnesses today, after they were contacted by the court. So on that arrangement, he could say, well, you brought me here to come to testify, but you asked me to go back, and then I'm not safe. But under the non-reformant law, he does have a case, but he has to assert his legal argument. What are the defenses he can put up? But just saying that if I go back to Liberia, I'm going to be harmed, it's not sufficient.
Yep.
And also looking at it from the perspective of the Swiss system, legal system, it will take around 120 days before all of that is sorted out and all of that. But yes, he could have made a further argument to be able to.
I'm very sure.
I'm not sure that he convinced the court further. Maybe I'm not sure if he convinced the Swiss authorities to have remained in Switzerland. We thought to make that point because I know that we didn't conclude on that yesterday, and we wanted to do a follow up, and we did say we're going to do, and we thought it was important to provide information.
And it is still unclear whether he's back in Liberia.
Yes, we were told today that he was on his way back to Liberia, so we will follow up to know whether he has arrived, or maybe back tomorrow or Saturday, whether he's back in Liberia. But when you look at this from a critical point of view, these witnesses, when they come to make these asylum claims, then it puts the prosecuting country, or the country that is doing such a trial, in a disadvantageous position to say, well, we shouldn't be bringing them here. Let's allow them to testify about video links. That could be another argument to make, and then it could drag all these investigations and trials for a very long period. It could put a big hole into that.
And let's say this is the first war crimes trial. Kosiah is the first Liberian to be prosecuted in a war crimes trial in connection with the Liberian Civil War that took place between 1989 and 2003. That's the fact. Yeah. The second thing here is that this country now has become a pioneer of countries in the future, perhaps, who will carry on similar trials. So everything that goes on here now will determine other countries' decision to try Liberians who are in their countries.
So the precedent has been set by Switzerland.
It's been set, but it's like you say, it's not a good precedent. It's not a good sign.
No, the precedent in the context of a war crimes trial. But
I mean, they happen to be the first. They were not. They are not the first country that arrested a Liberian for alleged war crimes. Yeah. But they happen to be the first now. So they are the pioneers of countries that will be doing these kind of trials. So what happens here now determines the decision the other countries in the future will make. You know that Conti K has similar issues in France. He was arrested. He's there. He's in jail. The other day he was rearrested. And you heard about Martina Johnson since it's been a very long time, since 2012. She's been on a house arrest in Belgium. So there are several other sources there, or there are several other arrests that are in the making. So this trial is important to inform countries' decision to try Liberians
and bring Liberian witnesses on the assaults to try them, to listen to their testimony.
That's it. If you can't bring witnesses, it will give you difficulty to try, so you wouldn't even want to try. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I get the point. And the key point also is that if these witnesses come and start to do these kinds of things, to claim asylum, once they arrive, then maybe these other countries, these European countries who have been initiating these kinds of processes could foot drag, and then it could affect Liberia's push for accountability for past crimes.
I mean, Anthony, if you ask me, that's a whole different ballgame when it comes to Liberia. You know how political it is.
I get the point, but it could affect the countries.
I get your point.
That people who
I get your point.
Of war crimes or
it weakens the argument of campaigners for a war crimes code, because those who don't want the code will basically say, see what's going on. The other countries that are supposed to be trying these people have stopped trying them. So this thing is troublesome, because that has been their narrative. That has been their argument, that this thing is so troublesome. It's like digging up old wounds. It's like bringing about issues back into this country, the issue of witness protection. So it's just going to play into that narrative. So I agree with you on that point. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe that's the reason why not Switzerland, Finland is trying to go to Liberia and Sierra Leone to hear these witnesses in person. Maybe.
No,
Maybe.
maybe, but you know the reason why they did that.
Yeah.
The court in Finland found it easier to move people across the Atlantic and come to Liberia rather than moving a lot of people from here.
Logistical constraints.
That's it, and COVID-19 and all of those things.
Yeah,
So
but crucially, this witness issue, the position by the witness who testified on Kosiah's behalf, actually, it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
It's really a negative sign for the country. And we've been told that it's around $1 million that the Swiss government is spending just to provide legal counsel for Kosiah, just because Kosiah doesn't have money. Mm-hmm. So he is categorized as an indigent. He can't afford. Mm-hmm. So the Swiss government is the one footing this bill to ensure that this man should have adequate legal representation. Yep. I have spoken to John Lee and I have asked him whether it is the first time that he's had this kind of trial. He said, for Switzerland, yes, it's the first time that this is happening for him. He's never had the kind of experience, but he did also serve as a lawyer for other clients who were accused of criminal activities, but for war crimes, just like the lawyer in this trial, it is his first experience.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want us to talk about is all the things that we are learning from ULIMO. You know, ULIMO was a very active group during the first half of our Civil War. Most of the time, you like to call it the first Liberian Civil War. Yeah. I really don't feel good calling the first and second Liberian Civil War. If you see my writings, I just say the Liberian Civil War. So ULIMO was this important group. They fought Charles all along, especially in the north into the western part of the country, fighting the Diamond Bell region and all those things. But if you listen throughout this trial, you learn a lot about ULIMO. We hear that they were formed in May 1991, but you hear from Kosiah himself and how they started and how they got training and how they crossed the border. This is something I'm really, really paying attention to, because whether we like it or not, this is a group that once played a very important role in our country, very negatively, but it's something that we should talk about. It's something that is part of history. Did you learn a new
title today?
Yes, I learned the meaning of CO.
Oh, okay.
Which is commanding officer.
Okay, I did learn about an officer with a portfolio.
and who was that referring to? Kosiah, I think.
Yes. That was what the witness who testified today for Kosiah said, and I was like, "Wow, it's my first time coming across this. I've heard about Minister of a portfolio."
and I long heard about Deku for like the last 2 years. Yeah. It was in this trial that I got to know his real name. It's Musa Deku Donso.
Yeah. Another thing you want to say?
I'm okay. It's been a very wonderful and another exhausting day today. We had 3 witnesses, and they were all very dramatic, and they did justice to our news stories.
Yes, and we want to thank you for following us. You can rest assured that everything you need to know about this trial, we will give it to you. Once we have every information, we'll make sure that it's part of our reporting. Thanks to everybody for following us. My name is Anthony Stevens. James Giahyue has been here with his analysis, and also he's been asking me some questions. We will be back tomorrow evening to bring you another coverage of Alieu Kosiah's trial. Good night.